on his political motive.
Tell everybody how much you love A10 News Media Group.
A10 News Media Group. I love them because they got the message to sports Negro up in California for burning them jockeys from under the bridge and sending them to Flint because nobody recognizes the dark man no more. They rather to burn them out and talk about NRA, Negro racket ass, and you ain't getting no.
Yes, I had a cocktail.
Good morning, family. Tara, good morning. Georgia boy, top of the morning to you. Meat Freaks Barbecue. Maurice, what's up, good brother? What it do? It's voting time, family. Is y'all ready to get out here and get y'all vote on? I'm on here looking like I'm Wanda Smith, Elizabeth Finney, good morning. Reverend Frederick Poe, good morning from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is in the building. Erica Carroll, grand rising to you. Jessica Stewart family, what it do? Live for love, good morning to you. I ain't going, we here, baby. Andre Holland, what it do? Little mama, good morning to you. Linda Chilton family, good morning. Eddie Gray, what's good with it, family? Taylor Sampson, you better stay out. What's up, Taylor? We'll just call you Tay-Tay. Make sure I don't miss nobody. Damian Franklin, what a good morning to you. Lenore Seal, good morning. Carolyn Hendricks, morning to you. Terry Nixon, good morning. Nancy Adams. Nobody, Jessica. IB, nothing but blessings to you and your family, IB. God is good. Patrick Jean, good morning. Robert Sharon, good morning to you. Reed Johnson, good morning. Super producer, you know I'm going to be at you today, beloved. I will be at you today. Tia Harris, morning to you. Kendra Wellers, good morning, fam. Casey's in the building. Otis Johnson from Alabama. Marilyn Smith. Sonia, good morning to you. Tony Showtime, Terry from Miami-Dade, 305 in the building. Kathleen King. Hey, listen, you know it ain't nothing but love, fam. You know I'm going to be over there with y'all. Michelle Smith. Salty Chef, what it do? No Name. I see No Name and popped in. Jaleesa Mayfield and popped in. Eleanor Mama Wicked and popped in. Y'all know how that is. Sandra Martin, good morning to you. Odie, good morning to you. Lawrence Allen, good morning. Brianna Buster's Benz and Shocks, morning to you too. Yeah, everybody got to get out there and vote, man. This is very crucial today. Y'all know when I get done, I'm gonna go out there and cast my vote. Jade Williams, good morning to you. Oh, yes, yeah. Walaikum salam, good brother. And my good brother from Fairfield, California. Y'all know who it is, Marcus Fielder. Woodrow Green, what it do? Woody Woods in the building.
What it do?
What it do, Miss Winters? What it do?
What it do?
And you know, Maurice, the Cane stepped in the building.
Cane, what's up?
You know, you got to give him his accolades when he come on. You got to put him on and let the Cane get information. Shit, y'all don't just limit that brother to one thing. Don't limit that brother to one thing. That brother, the one started this thing, you know, to me with information, it was giving you entertainment with it. That's just my opinion.
You got no choice.
You know, that's how when you this is how you get your flowers. You know what I'm saying? Too much tearing down and not enough building up. That's how I feel.
Oh.
You know? But it's election time. We got to get the business, baby.
Today is election day.
Ain't better believe it.
Shouts out to David Layton.
Queen Anifa. Grand
Shouts out
rising
to
you.
Chris Swanson.
Jeff Swanson, and is you say what it do from the ATL? What it do, family? Shayna Shepherd in the building. My Muslim brother, time to get him out of there. Get her out of there. Sorry about that. Let me clear that up. I messed around, said him, and meant to say her. Clear that up, that'll get twisted. Cheryl Hart in the building.
What's up,
Good
JWC?
morning. I was finna get to the queen up there in the fifth ward.
That's family right there.
Yeah, I gotta get they flowers to. Let me give them right to a Bond and Faye. Good morning to you. The other good brother, Chris Caleb, the brother from Texas. Oh, you talked to Jordan yet?
Yeah. We're talking to
Jordan. She's finna give you that. Now let me put the lovely Jerry. Carter, better known as
JWC.
Believe it.
JWC.
Believe it. Oh yeah. Winters is in the building. This how you get people they flowers, man. Jerry, one of the ones been up there fighting like hell up there on that seat. I'm gonna give all them people they flowers. I'd have been there quick. I'm telling you, listen. I would have quit a long time ago. I had it dark in here like I was on my Palpatine from Star Wars.
We're going to turn on some lights up in here so I can see.
I was on my Palpatine in all black.
I'm dressed in all black like the Omen.
Yeah. Donnell Dumas is in the building. Good morning.
The only Dumas I like.
Okay. Don't say it twice.
The only Dumas I like.
Michael Cooley from Greenwood, Mississippi. And
quickly.
Some of the 810 finest. Yes. And people in D.C. and Honest area, y'all get out there and support Honor, the family.
I better support Honor.
The good one from the DM. She one of the good ones. That little joker y'all sent down this way. Y'all sent the hell right.
Y'all did a number on us.
Yeah, you did a little number though. I'll give you all that, but I ain't mad. It is what it is. And I don't want to be messy or nothing. Yeah. Sometimes you got to give credit what credit is due. She'll be on my head next week, but I don't care.
Who she about to give shots out to?
I'm gonna call her that. Linda P.
Oh hell no!
Shit, Linda P. Shit. Sometimes you gotta respect your adversaries. God damn. I mean, she put a good one down. Did it, and you were right. I'm gonna give. I give credit what credit is due. Shit.
Lord, this is a classic clip.
Yeah.
He said, shots out to Linda P.
Linda P. I give credit what credit is due. We ain't friends though, but look, sometimes, listen. You gotta respect it. So hey, why we not beefing as of this 1 second? Shouts out to you.
We'll be beefing again Thursday.
But for right now, she gave us a grace period. Whoever it is, shit. We'll be back at it probably in 7 minutes into the show.
She came right back on there like wop. Y'all tore him up.
Elijah Green, good morning, good brother. And for show with that, Bobby Jones Jr., good morning. T from the D fam, what it do?
What up, though?
Miss J. Rich Bird. What it do? The family from where she from? Philly.
By way of
which way?
Chariton?
Nah, that's Lil Mama, Maryville.
Who you say?
I said Miss J. Miss J from Philly.
Where she come from?
We're gonna go to the next one. I know she sleep this morning.
No. Who come by way of Chicago?
Lil Mama from Maryville, Indiana.
Well, quit confuse me. What's up, Miss J? Miss J was watching the concert with me when I was recording the concert. I remember seeing her on there.
Jessica, God dang it. What I said, it's the professor of 810. I'm gonna take some classes because I know. I know.
We gotta get Jessica on here one day.
And
will.
That's all I can tell you.
Education hour with Jessica.
D. Marie, you know what? I gotta get caught up on Roland Martin.
No, why would we listen to him on Roland Martin when he gonna be in 810 in a few minutes?
Is he?
What?
For sure.
What?
Oh my goodness. I mean, that's what we only do over here. All we can do is, are you not entertained?
We can get the same guest as Roland Martin.
Did we?
What?
Uh,
What? Even we don't know what we're doing, but we
Patrick
got
Jean, what it do?
Hey, Patrick, can say hi to you.
Sometimes I just be wondering what's wrong with you. I know y'all ain't here to see me. Let me go and put this fool on camera, man. I don't know what you doing.
Let me finish it.
Nah, I'm gonna put you on camera. I see you on BS this morning.
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show people.
K6, what it do? Yeah, tell him, Miss J, dang it when you're right.
What Miss J say? What Miss J say?
Shit.
It's time. It's y'all time to shine, Flint. Send a clear message to City Hall today. Clear.
You done
switched it around on me already?
Yeah, I done seen a clear message be sent.
Clear.
I done seen some clear messages be sent. Be them same jokers in there, and you'll be like, God damn it.
If you ain't down with 18, you can't win. That's what I need on my shirt. Listen.
The Wickster in the building.
Little Joker. You call Stephanie a little Joker?
I ain't call Stephanie a little Joker.
Who called you a little Joker? I got something for him. Wop, wop, wop. Who called you a little Joker, Stephanie? Let me know.
Deborah O'Neill from the 313. What it do, fam? Y'all better get up and go vote if y'all do want to change it.
This is good.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little hint in the morning.
I don't put that in my coffee.
And when people telling you to go vote, family. If you want it done, go vote.
Let your voices be heard. That's what JWC said. Let your voices be heard. Go to the polls and vote. Cause she's secure. Hey, you out there? You out there too? Where you at? What polling location you gonna be at, JWC?
Oh,
her daddy working. Shouts out to Uncle Chuck, Charles Winfrey for the second district county commissioner.
Better believe it.
Second district, right? We got that right.
Y'all gotta go
Wherever
vote.
you see Charles Winfrey at on the ballot, click.
Y'all need to go vote.
And you gotta click for clack.
Click.
What?
Clack.
What? Of course we can't forget Charles Winfrey, man. What?
We'll never do that.
What? The McCree Theater been kind to 18. Kind to 18.
Always had a friend when we didn't have for one. Because that good brother always speak. I'm telling you, it was a time when people didn't even want to speak to us. When we was pariahs inside the city of Flint. Who would have knew?
Look, Tony, my brother Tony Wiggins on here.
Hey, y'all here.
Tony, how you feeling today? Because I know yesterday you was clicking your damn heels yesterday. I didn't even want to talk to him no more. Let him have his time yesterday. He had to have his time because he was clicking and dancing and giggling. Oh, he was just so happy yesterday. Child.
He had a time of his life.
He probably cooked dinner and everything. Oh, Steffi said okay. I thought I was sharing.
Jeff Khaled then tapped in. Sammy Moses then tapped in. Y'all know.
Tony, he said it felt good with a T. Good. Good. What's up? Larry is Larry. Shouts out to Larry. Larry, when I run for something, I want you on my team because I tell you, can't nobody move around the whole damn city in one day like Larry.
Oh no,
Larry, you be out there doing it.
Oh, Kamala selected her running mate.
Who?
Kamala.
I know. I said who?
That's what I'm trying to find out right now. If I knew.
I know. I didn't see that from my sister Tia Harris up there. The shade is real.
Well, Miss Harris, they was trying to put us out to the pasture yesterday. Well, really before then, it's just Ronald M. What it do? Janice Horton. Good morning to you.
That truck out of gas.
If you don't stop,
What? I didn't say that. Did I say something I wasn't supposed to say?
Get to the poll.
Get to the polls and vote.
Get to the polls. I mean, but you do. They need help. This my thing. How you expect Jerry, JWC, Tanya, Dennis, and Jared, Jonathan, Double J? How y'all expect them to help y'all if y'all not gonna get out there and help them?
They tired of hearing y'all
Shit,
complaining. They tired of
yeah.
listening to our asses complain
Hell
every
yeah.
day. Yeah, we tired of complaining.
I know. I'm not. I'm like, I ain't like I'm Nostradamus or something, but I know they looking at us. We need help.
And Davina, why you ain't send me my voter registration card? I bet not have no problem at the poll today. I get to vote for Uncle Chuck, Charles Winfrey. I get to click for Clack.
Spring, Heron, good morning. And Spring, I'm gonna sneak up to church. I got to, and it's your pastor's birthday, right? You know, I'm such a real one.
Happy birthday, Pastor Wallace Hill III from the Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church, located on Clio Road. Services start Sunday at 10 a.m. Come join us.
Is y'all doing it? Is you gonna have like a little birthday?
We had a little thing for him Sunday after church.
I'll be there.
You missed it.
I'm coming. No, because now I can get my money, the invoice. It's his birthday, so I know it's gonna be going down. I picked a hell of a time to come there. Spring season Sunday. Thank you.
Miss Spring, you know he ain't coming.
Nah, I'm gonna be there.
She said she was holding all your envelopes until you came.
I'm coming. I'll be there this Sunday. I don't get them anyway, but I'm gonna be there this Sunday.
He do get them. He enjoys them envelopes.
After you show them to me. See envelope? No, I'm gonna be there, though. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be there. I'm gonna be there. Come up there, and a happy birthday to your Pastor Wallace. Pastor Wallace.
The third.
Sorry about that.
Five of them. Was five of them.
Pastor Wallace Hill the third.
Wait a minute. Let's see. Wait a minute.
Okay, it's three of them. You get people they flyers. I mean, they flowers, man. You don't play. And what's up? Click clack. Y'all know what it is. That's little bro right there. Y'all know what to do.
Rose Morrow. I forgot. Thank you, Angie, man. Rose Morrow. You know, I ain't in the first ward, though. I'm in the second. But if I was in the first ward, I mean, like Rose.
Lisa Eccles. Oh, I gotta get this together right here, too. Y'all don't let
If I was in the seventh ward.
Now, y'all know
they
this.
They was asking me who I wanted to vote for.
I got you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
This Lisa Eccles right here. This the mother of Zayna.
Oh, you finally got her name right.
Right. Chanel.
Chantel.
Is y'all been buying her stuff? That's all I want to know. Y'all been hitting that Zayna.com. Ain't that how it is? Zayna.com with that obsession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now come on. Support the family. You got to support the family.
Wait a minute, JoJo, you already at the polls already? JoJo says she at precinct 27. Where is that at in Flint, JoJo, and what number they on? It's 930. You got to be at least at 200.
That's okay. Okay, she picked Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor. I got to check him out.
Young white male, I bet, right? Because she got to capture that white male vote. I bet he a young white boy.
Larry Hutchinson said he ready for you when you ready for him. Ain't playing around.
He gave that salute.
Okay, so we see, the governor of Minnesota. Okay, y'all know.
What's up, Uncle Carl? Tomorrow, Uncle Carl will be on here with us.
Yeah.
I hope these elections go right.
Carl gonna break down who she got as her vice president as her running mate. Because it's the rigmarole tomorrow.
Man, Uncle Carl's corner is going to be off the chain tomorrow. And we got elections today. Anna said, tell the lovely Tia here. She said, hi, please.
Oh, no, I'm finna put it up there, Anna.
She's the diva. The diva of 18.
From Good Morning 810 from the H-Town. Y'all know how we doing it. We blowing up. I don't remember if I did. I think I did. Tia, this is from the one of the 810 sisters, Anna Celia says.
Anna Cecilia.
Yeah. I just call her Anna.
Anna.
Better leave me the hell alone. Mr. Thomas, good morning to you. Okay, that's what's up. Let me see who is that. Oh, snap, you got Daryl Robinson and tapped in.
Daryl Robinson in here. Wait a minute. Hear footsteps. I hear some footsteps.
Oh, my bad.
What's the passcode?
Corruption.
Corruption. He said corruption. I love it. I love it. Okay, take us out so he can come on in and he know where the seat is. Come on over, Mr. Jordan Sheridan. How you guys doing?
A little wet, but
It's just yes.
Yes.
You got it. You got it. Just come on around. Yep, you are wet. Oh, look at you so wet. Okay, now you got a little table for you. You want your stuff right here. We got. See, our studio is not messy. It's clean.
Yo, the shade is real.
Oh, he know how to do all of that. He was on Roland Martin last night.
you saw that, huh?
Nope. Yeah, I seen it. I seen it on Facebook, but I didn't listen to the whole thing. I said I wasn't gonna listen because you was gonna be on here today.
You know, it's quite interesting the difference between being interviewed by black journalists and white journalists on this topic.
Mhm.
Almost like they care more. You know?
Yeah, you black.
Yeah.
You do care,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it affects you.
Yeah.
Now, I got a question for you
Sure.
because I don't want to forget because I forget a lot of stuff. Now, how did you feel? Because I know you heard that Gretchen Whitmer went on the Breakfast Club and told the whole world that the water was clean. How did you feel about that?
First off, if the Breakfast Club is watching, I've been trying to get on your show on this book. So,
We
Charlemagne,
the
Help.
God.
help a guy out.
DJ Envy, he's still on there.
I would say that I'd like to ask Flint. I'd like to know how Flint residents feel because Gretchen Whitmer back in the day ran her campaign on justice for Flint. She pledged that she would reopen the shut down water stations that her predecessor shut down. She did not do that. I know she opened a state park in Flint. I don't know how that cleans the water. And she's done a lot of kind of performative things, I would say. I just saw a video from her last week, kind of ripping JD Vance. You know, he made a weird joke about Mountain Dew, so she drank Mountain Dew and then pushed it away. And
She got time for all
yeah,
that.
but the water is not clean, and I know that because I come here and I talk to residents and I go in people's homes. So maybe she should do more of that rather than these performative tweets and videos.
Right.
But I think she's got some explaining to do. And I also think the Attorney General of Michigan, I'm sure we'll get into her, Dana Nessel, who wants to be the next governor, by the way.
Oh, I seen that in your book.
Yeah, she wants to run for
I wasn't gonna
governor.
say that, though.
Well, she's got some explaining to do to the people of Flint. I think, unfortunately, since the media in Michigan and Flint often forget, shall we say, to challenge the Democratic governor and attorney general, or anyone for that matter, they've kind of gotten away with a lot of suspect actions when it comes to Flint. But I think the governor of Michigan, as well as the attorney general, have a lot of questions to answer now that my book is out and a lot more information is out.
Okay. Well,
Mickey, I brought you a copy.
Okay.
come on, Rick. Come on, Mickey. Get him. I know you got some questions for him.
No, because you hit that first one. That's what I was going to ask him. How did he feel about thank you, Tim. How did you feel about Gretchen Whitmer going on the Breakfast Club? And it's like, what I'm trying to see is our local officials who played along in that, far as, you know, the mayor, the state rep, far as our council people, even activists who, you know, I'm just saying nobody in particular, just like how all this correlating together. Like we be thinking people really out here fighting for us, and I'm be like, it seems like it's distractions because we know the water's still not fixed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what is the people like?
I know it's election day, so I don't want to discourage anyone from voting, obviously. You know, voting is important. But I will say, based on my reporting, and I hope people get this from the book, a lot of your local officials, with rare exception to the Honorable late Eric Mays, are just kind of cogs, little peas in a much bigger corrupt pod, and don't matter as much as the bigger picture. And that bigger picture is, I believe, not just in Michigan, but all around the country, state government and federal government have been captured by corporations, foundations, including the Mott Foundation, which there's a whole chapter on the Mott Foundation in this book, which I call the Flint shadow government. So I think your local council people, other than fighting for you through their rhetoric, through their organizing, which of course Eric Mays did, through obstructing bad votes and bad policy, which he did, there's only so much local officials can do if they have the will when you're up against a corrupt governor, corrupt federal government who was in on this. The federal government it was complicit in this. Wall Street banks, foundations. So again, I'm not saying voting and who is your city council members doesn't matter. Of course it matters. But it's much bigger than the local officials. This was caused from the top: state government, federal government, Wall Street, private foundations, private lobbying associations. It was all one dark cabal. But I will tell you, it does make a difference when you have people like Eric Mays on your council. I'm not saying she was perfect, but at least Karen Weaver would not play ball with these people who were telling her, just say the water's fine so we could open up business.
Let's put a pin in it right there.
Yeah.
Now you said, Karen Weaver Dr. Karen Weaver wouldn't play ball with him. And I remember reading that it was a collaborative effort to take her down from the top. So the top wanted her out of office. So the top was behind her getting recalled. You feel like it was like a certain group of people?
Tell you the truth, I don't know for sure who was involved with her recall, but I do know for sure who was involved with getting her out of office when she lost. And I know, she says this, that the Mott Foundation, I guess, funds certain black media around here, and the one black media station that supported her, they stopped funding. Mott stopped funding that outlet during her election year. And then after she lost, I guess they started funding that outlet again. Richard Baird, in my book, in my book, Richard Baird basically says to former Mayor Weaver in 2018, I'm just warning you, if you keep at this and you don't, kind of say the water's fine, you might lose re-election. I mean, that's basically like, we're going to pull the levers here to get you out. And to her credit, she said, well, then that's what it's going to be. Businessmen, a local real estate developer here that's linked with Mott, Phil Schultz, who, in fairness to him, he denies it. I put his denial in the book. But Mayor Weaver recounts a lunch she had with him at the Foggy Bottom, believe in 2016. Soggy Bottom. Where, according to Mayor Weaver, this is her words, he basically said, this is bad for business. We're having trouble getting investors in here, and, we need you to kind of toe the line. He told me, I spoke with him on the phone, he vehemently denied it. Also, low-key threatened to sue me, which I didn't appreciate, because I've done everything that a journalist should do. I've gotten the mayor's account. I reached out to him for comment. I put his comment in the book. So he denies it, but I don't know why the mayor would lie about that. So not just him, but she was getting pressure from the Genesee County Chamber of Commerce, also Mott funded, by the way, to basically say the water's fine. And Richard Baird, why Richard Baird, and chapter 1 in the book is all about Richard Baird. Because
he laid the foundation. He was the governor.
Yeah, if you watch The Sopranos or one of these mob movies, the consigliere, the mob boss doesn't want to get his hands dirty. So the number 2 goes around. And so Richard Baird, who's also threatened to sue me over this book. If you want,
Jordan, really?
Yeah. If powerful people are threatening to sue you, you're doing something right. But Richard Baird, he was like the quarterback for all this, and he it was like kind of like a switch when Flint residents would get a little too loud. If certain ones would get media attention, all of a sudden they'd hear from Richard Baird. I mean, chapter 1 opens with in 2017, there was a town hall here. There was a resident, Adam Murphy, very sick, kid couldn't work anymore. I mean, was forgetting how to drive home, blocks away from his house, was having seizures. He popped off at a town hall. A cop pulled him aside, and 3 weeks later, Richard Baird shows up in his living room with a state trooper to his left and a former Army colonel to his right, appearing that he's there to help. You know, I want to help you, blah, 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 before you know it. And I posted the audio on the Detroit Metro Times a couple years ago. And he's talking about, we want to launch a pilot program. So we're going to pay for your expensive treatment, but you can't say anything. You can't say the state's paying for it. And then Richard Baird was going around town telling other residents that he was paying for it out of his pocket because he's some kind philanthropist. I saw the text messages and the receipts. Richard Baird was most certainly not paying for it. The state was paying for it. And he went around offering these kind of, let's say, deals to certain people. There were other residents who suddenly they were able to get their service lines replaced, their lead service lines replaced, which cost $4 or $5 grand. Wow. And in the book, Todd, he offered Melissa Mays a payoff. And in the book, Todd Flood asks Richard Baird during their confidential interview. I got documents and the transcripts from all these interviews. He says, you know, we've heard some whispers about a resident getting cash from the state. Do you know anything about that? And Baird's answer is, I guess I have to answer that. So when I say biggest government cover up, I'm not kidding. I mean, this is some bad stuff. And what really bothers me the most is that the majority of Flint doesn't know about any of this because your media has just buried it. I'm not even from here.
News Media Group.
Except 810, yes.
Nah, you had me when I
See the show we did with the deep dive of the book.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
When she read about when you in the book when it's like activists was paid off. Oh, that caused a shitstorm here.
Oh, Jordan, you got black trucks flying all around up and down the damn city, man.
I didn't know. I'm not, because when she was reading, I'm like, and it kind of makes sense when they said they paid off the loudest. Because I'm like, for how it went down, because the only time I was seeing it when you were speaking about it, to be honest with you.
You know, I guess I can't really get in people's heads, but if you're a resident and you're sick and your kids are sick,
right,
your husband's sick, and the state and the governor's, I don't know, he presented himself as the governor's best friend and top advisor, and he's offering you this kumbaya, we want to help you, and the state's going to pay for it. I don't really know if I could blame people for taking that help, you know? And some of the people I know took it, genuinely believe that because Baird presented it, if this treatment helps you, we're going to offer it to other residents.
right.
Of course, that did not happen. So I don't, you know, of course, if you hear payoffs and this and that, you're going to think, oh, these shady people took payoffs. But if you're sick and you're desperate, I don't know who I could blame. I look at, let's take a look at this, and maybe Dana Nessel could answer this. How does the governor's right-hand man, we're talking his fixer, how does he get charged with perjury, extortion, obstruction of justice, and misconduct in office, yet the governor gets charged with a misdemeanor? Did the governor not know what his top advisor was doing? Did the governor not know that his top advisor was in Flint going around offering deals? And by the way, Baird told residents, I'm going to go talk to the governor about these pilot programs. You know, you'd have to be really naive to think this guy was just freelancing here and the governor did not know. So Dana Nessel's never had to answer for why it is that they only charged Rick Snyder with a misdemeanor, particularly when in my book, I detail that the original Flint prosecutors that she fired,
It's in the book.
they had enough evidence to charge him with misconduct in office, and they were building a case at the time she dismissed them for involuntary manslaughter. I don't know how one set of prosecutors see involuntary manslaughter and the other ones see nothing.
Well, you go on the details. You tell us in the book, like Whitmer kept all the same people in place.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
I mean, so his people not gonna go after him.
Well, there was also Governor Snyder and his people basically made a backroom deal with Whitmer that they were going to support her.
Mm-hmm.
So he did not. Snyder did not support Bill Schuette, who was running for governor. Schuette was the attorney general that launched this investigation. He didn't publicly go out doing rallies for Whitmer, but behind closed doors, they were pushing certain people to donate to Whitmer. So Whitmer had Snyder and his team's support. I don't have any evidence that there was a deal made that we would. So I can't say that, but they did have Snyder's support, and Whitmer kept all of his people. As Weaver says, the first meeting I had with Governor Whitmer and the environmental officials, it was all Snyder's people. Why would you keep the same people that just covered up the poisoning of Flint?
Crazy. That's just crazy. She told me when she walked in, I think was it the inauguration dinner she told us she went to, and she walked in, it was all the same people. She was like, nobody there was different. It's like one big happy family.
And I want to also say the book I obtained, which I'm sure he's not going to like.
I'll sign my copy today before you.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me. Because apparently the rest of Flint media, doesn't care about the cover up of their own community. But I obtained Rick Snyder's confidential testimony from 2020. So Rick Snyder was under oath in 2020 as part of the major civil case, which residents still haven't gotten paid from. And boy, are his answers quite different than when he was under oath in front of Congress.
You think?
I put it in the book. If you've ever seen the movie Total Recall, it actually became Total Don't Recall because he was so lawyered up. I counted that he said, I don't recall at least a couple hundred times. But he, in front of Congress, he was very firm. I found out about the deadly Legionnaires outbreak in January 2016, and I held a press conference the next day. Well, under oath in 2020, he's a lot less certain about that, let's say. Wow. And he also makes, I don't want to give it all away because I want people to get the book, but he also makes some truly when I say unbelievable, I mean not believable statements. I don't remember ever talking to my top lawyer about the Flint water crisis. The same top lawyer, by the way, that I obtained phone calls showing that his top lawyer, who now happens to be a Michigan judge, Mike Godola, was calling the governor multiple times at 4 a.m.
Godola?
Mike Godola. He's Snyder then appointed him to be a judge.
Yeah.
So Snyder, under oath, again, it's all in the book. He was asked, did you ever consult with your chief legal counsel about the Flint water problems? Mm-hmm. Snyder says, I don't remember doing so. The lawyers push back. Really? He's your top lawyer. But, Snyder just plays dumb. And I obtained phone calls showing that Godola called Snyder multiple times at 4 a.m. on the same week that 6 out of 8 Flint businesses tested high for TTHMs. Same week that a story was coming out in the Flint Journal about water problems. And he also, not only was he calling Snyder, him and Snyder's chief of staff were talking around this time many times. So I don't know. I don't call people at 4 a.m. unless there's a fire.
Right.
The Godola never responded to me. Why were you calling the governor? Snyder's never responded to me about anything. But I kind of line up the phone calls because all the phone calls that were going on with Snyder's chief of counsel and Snyder's chief of staff, they were all happening at the same time. Major red flags were just piling up about the water. So that's one of the big things in the book. You'll be able to read Rick Snyder under oath. And I believe he contradicts his testimony that he gave to Congress if laws applied.
Right.
But unfortunately, he perjured himself in front of Congress in 2016. But the statute of limitations for that is 5 years. So he's out. He's not going. He gets away with that. But importantly, and this isn't in the book, but I want to make clear, and this should be news. If there are media outlets watching, you should report this. Attorney General Nessel, okay, I put in freedom of information requests, which you could do as a journalist, multiple times last year for documents related to the KWA fraud, the financial fraud that caused this. I was getting denied, citing an ongoing criminal investigation. Well, the criminal investigation ended last year when the state Supreme Court threw out her charges. So I put in a freedom of information request again. And this is a very specific set of documents. It outlines the racketeering case that the original investigators were building. And based
racketeering, I think of RICO.
That's what it is, RICO.
Oh,
and RICO was created in the 1970s to go after organized crime, the mafia. Based on my reporting, they were very close to launching and charging a RICO case against several officials. One of those officials happened to have ties to Governor Whitmer. That's all I could say. So I put in a freedom of, because as far as I'm concerned, the investigation's over. You all paid millions of dollars for this investigation. We're talking tens of millions of dollars, the Michigan taxpayers, Flint. So first they told me, the Attorney General's office, they told me, to the best of our knowledge, we don't have these documents. Well, I know that not to be true. I know they have the documents. Right. So I gently said, before I take further action, are you sure you don't have these documents? So they then decided, well, look again. Weeks later, they magically found the documents. And this is, by the way, like I gave them the specific title of the documents, who was the author. They magically found the documents, but still told me they can't release it. They cited a bunch of legal stuff. The documents are 52 pages. It outlines a major racketeering case, evidence that the original investigation had of securities fraud that's related to the KWA bonds, construction fraud that's related to the KWA construction, and some other stuff. It also outlines who they were planning on charging. I don't know for a fact, but I believe there's a chance there's information in there about the banks that were involved with this. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. I believe some of the individuals that are mentioned as to who they were targeting are high-level public officials. I'm not going to say who because I don't have the documents, so I can't say for certain. But bottom line, there's no reason that I know journalistically or legally they can't release those documents. If she wanted to, she could redact the people that were going to be charged, but provide the evidence that the original investigators had found. She's not releasing them. To me, that's a giant scandal. The investigation's over. The people should know not only what Dana Nessel's people found, but what the original investigators found. Because this, at the end of the day, this all was caused by a major for-profit privatization scheme. And it seems to me both Dana Nessel and Gretchen Whitmer don't want the details of that out. And one has to ask why.
Well, we're sure they're watching today, like they did the last time. And do you find it strange? Number one, she went on a Breakfast Club nationwide to say the water is clean in Flint. Number two, last week, I mean, everybody knew the book was coming. It wouldn't surprise me if a few of them already got their hands on it already. And last week, we were hit with headlines here in Flint about the water has tested clean. What do you think about that? Right before we the poison.
Well, I can't say for certain, but I will say that based on a source that I trust, some of the homes that they're using, they have to test a certain amount of homes to then come up with a number for lead. it's interesting because some of the homes they're testing seem to be abandoned. Some of the homes they're testing seem to be abandoned homes that the water has not been in use. So that's something that I'm going to have to look into. But
how you gonna test an abandoned home?
isn't that a good question? So bottom line, I'm not somebody who says don't trust the government under any circumstances. I think that's stupid. Obviously, in some instances, the government's telling the truth. In others, you have to look into it. But I personally have seen, and I have reported, and I have discovered that the state of Michigan, under the Governor Snyder, as well as under this governor, has manipulated data, has cherry-picked data, and has done some really sloppy, half-assed water testing. Here's the bottom line. You don't need to be an engineer to understand this. You don't need to be a chemist to understand this. Acid water, basically acid water, went through the pipes for 18 months.
Damn.
Okay? The pipes, there's 3 sets of pipes. There's the main pipes underneath the street. There's the service lines from the curb into your home. And then there's the interior plumbing. The state wanted people to believe, the only thing that needs to be done is the service lines.
Which is dumb.
What did the toxic water just skip over the main pipes?
Right. That's
Did the
dumb.
toxic water just skip over the interior pipes? I don't care what they say because I talk to residents. Residents are still getting rashes. Residents are getting skin infections. Residents, Little Miss Flint posted a few weeks ago, brown water. Other people post brown water. By the way, they haven't even changed all the service lines yet. The state had to come in because your mayor couldn't do it.
Oh, no, it's called a partnership.
Oh, a partnership. So your mayor basically defied court orders and didn't do it. So how can the water be clean if all the mains, which are busting all over the city, they're breaking all over the city, the mains haven't been, those mains are made of iron, galvanized steel. Well, iron is food for bacteria. Hello. And by the way, the infrastructure in Flint, you got 600 miles of pipe that were built for the city when it had 200,000 residents.
Absolutely.
The city has 80,000 residents now. Guess what? You got a lot of sections of abandoned homes where water's not in use. So you have stagnant water.
Just sitting there.
And when you have stagnant water, you have chlorine being soaked up very quickly and other chemicals being soaked up. So then when the water starts to move, it doesn't have the proper chemical treatment to prevent bacteria and things. So I'm just a reporter who talks to residents who are telling me still getting rashes. Their water smells. Residents losing hair in the shower. And the proof's in the pudding. People are posting their brown water. People are posting their discolor. I would love Gretchen Whitmer to come here and go door to door. Not,
you know what the mayor's saying? It's the most tested water and it's clean. This is what the mayor of Flint's saying. I would love to just go get a gallon of water for him when he come, if he ever show up to council, and ask him to drink this clean water.
well, if it's the most tested water and it's clean, then what are people getting rashes from? Why are people telling me that it smells like rotten eggs? Why are people telling me that they're getting skin infections? If it's the most clean water, why are the pipes bursting in the street, the main pipes? If they could tell me that. Why are people's water heaters busting?
Right.
And by the way, Governor Whitmer, she's on video years ago. She acknowledged my reporting that Governor Snyder's environmental department cheated on the testing. She acknowledged it.
Oh, she didn't mean
Did she?
to.
And Aaron Brockovich, by the way, called that a crime and said they need to redo all the state testing independently, like an independent tester. She never did that. So she could say what she wants, but the bottom line is, just from a common sense perspective, if you haven't changed the damaged infrastructure, I'm talking the main pipes, the interior plumbing, you haven't changed all the lead service lines. It doesn't matter if the water is perfect from the plant if it's then going through corroded, damaged pipes.
So
In your home again. The service lines means
Because
nothing.
what we keep hearing that, 95% done with the service line. If they complete the service line, it's still going to be poison water coming through. Now this making more sense now because the point I'm still gonna stick with in your book when he said that Rich Bear said he was paying off activists. Because all you're doing is looking at the fight right now. From basically what I'm hearing from you saying the whole infrastructure need to be did. From the houses all the way to the water, well, from the water plant to the houses need to be did.
Correct.
So if they do
that's why activists and experts are saying President Obama needs to issue a disaster declaration. He issued a state of emergency.
Right.
That's different from a disaster, because a disaster declaration, the federal government basically takes over. You could have had the Army Corps of Engineers in here. They could have dug up the whole city. It wouldn't have taken 10 years, maybe a year or two. And by the way, Mayor Weaver has said this. She asked Governor Whitmer for help, for more funding to fix residents' interior plumbing. Because again, the pipes inside your home are damaged. And Governor Whitmer told her the state legislature has Flint fatigue. That's why I named the documentary Flint Fatigue. And I can't get any more money. She could have, I don't know, fought, done a press conference, putting Republicans on blast that they don't want to help Flint.
Something.
I mean, she's very quick to do, videos inviting, gay people to Michigan or transgender people to Michigan. I'm all for that.
Right.
But why is she's very quick to do these identity things.
Right.
But when it comes to actually fixing the problem here, I see a state park. But the bottom line is, again, there's nothing in it for me to falsely claim the water is bad in Flint. I've been here 21 times. I talked to the residents. I've smelled it. I've tasted it. And I see people's rashes. I see them posting brown water. And it doesn't mean that the water is bad in every part of town. It's not like it was in 2014. It's not that bad. But no, you can't say the water's fine if you haven't changed the infrastructure. And plumbers will tell you that, and engineers will tell you that, and Aaron Brockovich will. Anyone not on the state payroll will tell you that.
I'll tell you that. One of our viewers from the DMV, Anna, she had a very good question. What do you hope to gain from this book?
Tell you the truth, I mean, one of the biggest challenges, honestly, in my reporting has been getting the truth out specifically to the people of Flint, because it's, obviously it's a poor city. People, might only be watching local news at night for a few minutes. And if your media is not reporting this, people don't know. Right. In journalism, we say who, what, when, why, where, right? The 5 W's. The majority of Flint residents do not know. I'd say they don't know 90% of the full details of what happened.
I agree.
And I think that's part of why you only see 20 people out protesting anymore. Right. So to me, what I hope, I'm not expecting to become a New York Times bestseller out of this.
We are.
Well, that would be nice. But to me, what would make me really happy is if as many people in Flint got this and read this so that they could then take matters into their own hands. Because I think a journalist's job is to provide the information to then activate people to take action. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I mean, if I was living here and I was poisoned and I was physically sick or mentally sick or I've lost people, it's kind of hard to have the will to keep protesting and fighting. But I do believe if people know the full details, and this is really dark, ugly, corrupt, mafia level shit, I would hope people come together, whether you like your neighbors or not, whether you got beefs or not, because it's not only city council that needs to be protested. Dana Nessel needs to start answering questions. There needs to be protests outside the state capitol. There needs to be protests outside the attorney general's office. I know it's 10 years later, but at the end of the day, if the water's still bad, if there's no justice, frankly, I don't know why you guys don't have universal health care.
Right.
So to answer your question, I hope the majority of Flint residents know the truth. And then I hope people in other communities that are dealing with similar things, whether it's water, air pollution, soil, because the playbook that they used here, they're now using in East Palestine, Ohio. Wow. They're using in other places the same exact playbook, which is the EPA, the state do some, I think, bullshit testing. They declare everything's fine. They tell residents, don't believe your rashes. Don't believe your bloody noses. I'm talking about East Palestine now. Don't believe your seizures, your strokes. Don't believe that it smells like a gas station in your home. We're not finding any chemicals. The media just regurgitates what the state says, and it gets swept under the rug.
Wow.
And then there's a settlement for, in my view, far too little. And then the media only covers it on anniversaries. And then it's just normalized. And then government officials go on shows like The Breakfast Club. I'm not knocking Charlemagne, but he's not an expert in this. So they just, Whitmer says this.
Well,
And
speaking about Charlemagne, when Hill Harper went on there after Whitmer, I was kind of waiting for Charlemagne to ask Hill about like Flint. I thought Hill would have said something about Flint, but he didn't.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Yeah. So I got one, like you said, people were fighting, and then it's like it's just being normalized. For example, chapter 21. Quincy Murphy, another resident who received a tax lien notice, condemned the state and city for stripping residents of democracy. He announced he was filing a class action lawsuit against the city over the tax liens and would try to add other 8,000 residents being threatened with losing their homes. It is ridiculous that they are even trying to make us pay for water, and has done nothing while he's on council to stop it.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
That people are water warriors until they get on that council.
Yes. Now, what you think about that, Jordan?
I mean, I'll be totally honest. I haven't really dug into city council because I've obviously been focused on the cover up on the state and federal level. But it does seem very suspect to me that there have been quite a few people that started out as activists and then they get elected and all of a sudden their tune changes. All of a sudden they seem to be towing the state line, the line of certain foundations. They're not as, shall we say, of the people. I don't know who donates to him. So I can't, but I always say my guiding principle is follow the money.
Follow the money.
So I wonder why Murphy, before he got on council, was fighting the good fight, saying, I'm going to put together a lawsuit over these tax liens threatening people's homes. And then he got in there and kind of just seems to be towing the mayor's line.
Yes, I've noticed that too.
Yeah.
Questions for Jordan?
I mean, it was a bunch of them. Listen, I've been so scared to put some of these up here.
Oh, yeah, answer 'em.
Like this one right here. I've been so scared to put some of this up here.
Who's the current mob boss of Flint?
Like this right here. Like this one. I mean, it's been going so man. Like, oh, hold up. Listen.
You know,
see, like this.
it would be easy. What does Jordan consider Tim Herman's role in running Flint for the last 20 years? You know, to tell you the truth, I think it's easy to look at specific individuals like Tim Herman or Phil Schultz, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the Mott Foundation. I know that they hate, and they have a PR machine that, they sure got the mayor to issue a statement real fast after my statement.
Wasn't that fair?
But the bottom line is, who funds Tim Herman? The Mott Foundation. Who funds Uptown Redevelopment, which is Phil Schultz, the Mott Foundation. So all these people are just players in a broader game. The Mott Foundation, they could say and by the way, they do good things. They do fund good programs. I don't want to say they're all evil, but at the end of the day, I am 100% confident the Mott Foundation dictated who became the emergency managers here. I know from a fact from talking to people who have worked in local government here that the Mott Foundation has an open door policy from mayor to swoop in to the mayor's office. And Mr. Schultz has yelled at many mayors when if they have not done what they want. I mean, Mayor Weaver in the book, there's a story about her getting in there and she's got a pile of paperwork waiting for her signature when she gets in there, all for programs that have been signed off by Mott. And she says, well, can I read this to know if it's a good deal? And she's told, well, this was agreed upon with Mott. It's not healthy or democratic for a foundation, even if they do good things, to be dictating government policy, to be behind all the contracts for downtown bars, downtown luxury condos, downtown this, that's not healthy. And I mean, it's been reported in other books that the Mott Foundation, back in the 70s, 80s, was very involved in government policy here when it comes to housing, education. So I look at Tim Herman, Phil Schultz, these other people, they're just cogs on a broader machine, which is the Mott Foundation. And at the end of the day, if the Mott Foundation has all this money, why don't they pay to replace all the pipes in Flint? I mean, the money they give for programs is great, but they certainly have the money to replace all the infrastructure in Flint. Then you could honestly say, if you have brand new pipes and the water is being treated effectively, then you could honestly do testing and probably find that you have some of the cleanest water in America. But I look at Tim Herman and these other people, look who funds them. That's it.
So now I get why you say
Oh,
activists
Lord.
were paid off, because, oh my God, now this make it so clear now why I see why Flint is stagnant. Like, because if you really out here, like you say, we should still be down there in Lansing protesting. I get it now. I get it. I see.
Okay, let me just, for your viewers, just think about this from a common sense perspective. You don't have to be involved in politics. You don't have to. You don't even have to graduate high school to get this. Okay, because I've talked to lawyers and I've talked to experts about this. There was a criminal investigation, right? It doesn't matter if you like Bill Schuette, the attorney general, or not. He launched a criminal investigation. They charged 15 state and city officials. 50 charges, okay, including involuntary manslaughter, including bond fraud, including conspiracy, including misconduct in office. So, and against the health director, the number 2 in the health department, several of the emergency managers Snyder appointed, and they, based on my reporting, were very close to a massive RICO case. So you then have an attorney general candidate, Dana Nessel, and it's in my book, starts running her mouth that this investigation is all horrible. It's a joke. It's political. Number one, she had no access to any of the evidence. She had no access to who are their witnesses. Are there any witnesses cooperating currently? It's been told to me that Dana Nessel, that could be viewed as obstruction of justice. Because in the book, as I detail, there were high-level officials, including Gerald Ambrose, who was one of the former emergency managers. They were cooperating in the fall of 2018. They were providing information to investigators and prosecutors, what they call flipping, so that prosecutors can go on higher, providing information, particularly on Snyder and Baird. And Dana Nessel starts running her mouth that this is I'm going to make changes, and Todd Flood, because she cited that he donated to Snyder once, but he also donated to Granholm. So like he's donated to both. Right. So anyway, she basically, whether it was intentional or not, I don't know, sabotaged the ongoing investigation before she got in there. Then she gets in there. It has been told to me by many lawyers, they've never seen anything like this, that she cleans house of an ongoing criminal investigation. This is not like a minor thing. This is like one of the biggest environmental calamities in American history. She cleans house of all that. The reason she gives is because the Todd Flood failed to get millions of documents. Well, in my book, I reveal, based on a source from her investigation, Nessel's investigation, that was bullshit. Those were lies. All those boxes that they found, they made a big deal that they found all these boxes in the basement. Those were mostly duplicates of stuff that had already been handed over. That's not coming from me. That's coming from a source on her investigation. So common sense, why would the attorney general start from scratch? And I have sources in the book who ask this question, drop all the charges. She then recharges people that she dropped the charges against with lesser crimes. She got rid of the financial charges that Flood had charged related to the KWA bond deal. She got rid of those. She dropped them. And then when she recharged those same officials, she did not bring back the financial charges. Follow the money. It was explained to me, not by one source, I'm talking a lot of sources, that if this was all about the KWA. If the KWA fraud, which involves Wall Street banks, if that went forward in criminal court, forget a jury, just like a pretrial, you're talking the state of Michigan would be on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars because the state of Michigan signed off on that bond deal. The banks would also be on the hook because they did not do their due diligence. Part of that bond deal, part of that administrative consent order was they had to make sure the plant was equipped to run. My book, there's a whole chapter. You had workers in the plant screaming, hell no, we're not ready. Do you know 2 weeks before the water switch, they were so understaffed, they switched people from the garbage department to the water plant who had no experience in water?
Well, we got a maintenance man running the DPW now, so I mean.
So I would love the media to start asking Dana Nessel questions. I know she's on Team Blue and they love her. I know she wants to be the next governor, but not only did she sabotage the investigation, not only did she drop important charges, she put in place the way it was described to me by people on her team, amateurs, to run this, one of whom who would never tried a case in front of a jury. So I just say, from a common sense perspective, I can't get in her head and I don't know her heart. But what I do know is it was told to me by lawyers, they had never seen anything like this for a major case like this, for an attorney general to come in and basically just light it all on fire.
We asked him the same question from Chris Caleb. Why didn't the mayor sue the state, Jordan? That's from Chris
Weaver?
No, probably this new one.
No, I would probably say Weaver because it happened.
Weaver threatened to sue. Weaver threatened to sue the state. It's in the book, and she got a real talking to. Let's put it that way, because it was also, you got to consider. I mean, if she sues the state, she's also relying on the state to give them money, give the city money during the worst of the water crisis. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you open your mouth and you're screaming at Rick Snyder, which would excite Flint residents, he was basically pulling money back. She actually, it's in the book, one of the first things she said to the press as mayor, I think we need to start at 1.5 billion for a settlement. She immediately got a phone call from Richard Baird. You need to take that back. So
she told us that.
Yeah.
Now explain this picture here about the two
Yeah.
bags that are shredded up.
Isn't that interesting?
Was found in Darnell Early's office.
So Darnell Early, who again, the original prosecutors, they charged him with involuntary manslaughter. That's Todd Flood's investigation. They charged him with conspiracy to commit false pretenses related to the KWA bond deal. Dana Nessel dropped those charges and did not bring them back. After he left emergency manager for Flint, Snyder made him the emergency manager for Detroit Public Schools. I don't know why, but on his final day as emergency manager for Detroit Public Schools, criminal investigators got a phone call, a tip from someone in his office that there was documents being shredded. So they, quickly lobbied to a judge to get a search warrant, and they went over there and issued the search warrant to Early, and it's described by the investigator who I got the documents that Early's hands were shaking when they issued the search warrant, and they interviewed his, secretary who was shredding the documents, and she was saying, well, I didn't see anything related to the Flint. Yeah.
Like she gonna say she did.
Yeah. So I don't know why you're shredding documents on your final day. By the way, this is a month after the criminal investigation was launched in 2016. And this is at a time when he was refusing to testify in front of Congress. So this guy's shredding documents. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. No, you cannot make this stuff up.
This would happen to Weaver right there. When she put actually that 1.6, when she said 1.6 billion, that recall came.
And can I just make a point? Because I'm trying to be careful, because I have an event tonight at Comma Bookstore. I want all I know it's an election, so, but I want as many media members to come. All this stuff that I have found could have been found by your local media. I'm not like a superhero. I think I'm good at my job, but like, it just takes will and a little care for people that were poisoned. So I really sincerely ask, reporters at the Flint Journal, ABC, CBS, local ABC, all the Flint stations, yeah, I've criticized you, but it's never too late. So I've provided the information. Now it's up to you to take it from here. Please come to the book event. Please cover the bombshell revelations. And if you don't cover it, then I have to expose. I have to wonder, why is it that time after time, major bombshells about a major government cover-up, the local media is just sitting on it? That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does when they're getting paid off.
Don't nobody want to lose that. Even the independent people who get money, they don't want to lose. That's their payroll. That's how they eating right now. A lot of people, you gotta understand, a lot of them don't have to go. I remember Eric May said this about M Live, said my man was running it out of his basement. He getting 100,000. You don't have to do no work like how you getting out here doing this. I can sit at home in my comfort and I can get 100,000. A lot of these people don't have moral character. You see a lot of these people, they know people dying. You think they care about people dying? You got a mayor, I don't know how he's not even a pariah inside the city of Flint. He go out and say, man, his wife they finna vote today. Tell me what she done. She done spoke out against the water crisis.
I haven't heard her say a damn thing.
And she be getting votes. I don't have to do no debates or nothing. People just go right in there and vote for her. I'm just saying, people dying, and like I said, you was the first one I seen speaking about it. Let me be honest, on the Jimmy Doherty show, I remember when you were saying back then, man, I would go back, you know what I'm saying? Then the people I've been and left came back, people been and died. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. That's when he was doing it. I was watching him do it. I'm like, damn. Then I'm thinking, just looking at it now, it's like we've been played. Really, we've been being played because we keep hearing, oh, we'll get the lines done. No, you need the whole infrastructure need to be done.
I'm not telling you guys not to focus on your local officials because it's important, right. But this is much bigger than your city council elections. This is much bigger than who's on the city council. Even the great Eric Mays, who there should be statues and museums. He's gone now, so I could say he was one of my sources for quite a bit. I could say, at the end of the day, you could have Gandhi, Jesus, Moses, Allah, whoever on that city council. But if Wall Street, a $1 billion foundation, the federal government, if they're involved, and the Attorney General's office, by the way, again, I asked the Attorney General, why are you not releasing the documents that show what evidence was found from a state taxpayer-funded investigation about financial fraud? It was told to me by sources that the documents she won't release, the evidence on there of the financial scheme, racketeering, this was shit that long-time FBI types, they had never seen this type of fraud before. That's their words. They had never seen this type of fraud before. She won't release it. Why? She could redact certain things. If you want to redact who they were planning on charging, fine. But the evidence needs to be out there. And the bottom line is, just follow the money. Banks donate to Democrats. Banks donate to Republicans. Some of the people that they were going after, I know for a fact, ended up serving in Governor Whitmer's administration. So she could go on Charlemagne and say whatever she wants. But at the end of the day, the national media is so focused on the presidential horse race. They're so focused on who's up and who's down and who's Kamala Harris going to pick as vice president and Michigan Senate race and this and that. Underneath it all, and I say this directly because I've been around the country and I've seen a lot of shit. This is the biggest government cover-up I have ever seen. Watergate did not kill anyone. And why this is so important, folks, because your media is not covering this either, this is still killing people. Cancer is surging in this.
Say last night, some cancers was up 300%.
Yeah. Art Woodson has been pushing to do this.
His name.
Oh, excuse me. Somebody has been pushing for a cancer study, and NYU researchers have found certain cancers are up between 300 and 500% in Flint compared to before the water crisis. And the health department has been trying to delay a study on this. Why? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even think Steven Spielberg or like your best filmmakers could write something like this.
To me, it's crazy. It's like they created the problem as far as the Michigan government, and now we're going to do a study. This like Tuskegee. This like the Tuskegee experiment. We created the problem. Now we know all these cancers coming. Now we finna do a cancer cut. This ain't but money coming in.
You're gonna let your rapist handle the rape kit?
Right.
Do
Right.
you like? Do you think that they're ever going to give Flint some relief? I mean, every time we get close to, a settlement and some money's going to be coming, it's always another packet being sent out to the residents, 40, 50 pages. And it's like they're trying to chop off as many people as they can. But what's going to happen with that money? You think about all the interest that money is just sitting there collecting. A lot of people don't know that the children won't get paid until they're 18, and then they actually have to go and apply to get that money at the age of 18. Do you honestly believe, Jordan Sheridan, that Flint will see any relief, monetary?
I'm going to say something pretty radical.
Okay, go ahead.
But first, I want to answer somebody. The book event tonight is at Comma Bookstore.
What time?
7:00.
Okay.
So I know it's election night. So if you can vote before then, I hope people can make it. 7:00 Eastern, Comma Bookstore. I don't know the address off the top of my head, but Comma
2nd Street downtown.
Yeah. So Comma Bookstore, 7:00. Kayla Rubel, who's one of the few other journalists in America still covering this and caring, she'll be interviewing me. I believe, because a lot of people might not know this, but it's not just the state. The federal EPA has never admitted guilt, and they have 10 years later refused to settle with Flint. So to me, I'm a white dude, so I'm not going to tell a majority black city how to vote. But if Kamala Harris wants Flint's vote, she needs to pledge that her EPA will settle with the city of Flint for a dignified amount of money. I believe a lot more than $600 million. They got plenty of money to send to Ukraine, Israel, and everywhere else on the globe. They could come up with $1 billion or $2 billion for Flint. So if Kamala Harris, she's running ads with Beyonce's song and all this, I don't care about those feel-good ads. Right. If I was a Flint resident, I'd say, Kamala Harris, if she wants to vote in Flint, which she needs Detroit and Flint, big time. Federal EPA needs to settle. I want a pledge on what that number would be. Number 2, universal health care for Flint. To be honest with you, I think the answer, if Flint will ever get anything, is up to the people of Flint. Because at the end of the day, I cannot lecture people who have been poisoned, because I understand it, because I have been here so many times that I see the evolution of the residents I talk to. They're just beaten down. So I could understand why you're not going out there, because we've been out there and nothing changes. But I believe there's strength in numbers. And I think if there was one last stand where not 20 people, but 2,000 people, kind of like an Occupy Wall Street a decade ago, were out there in front of City Hall, in front of the state with specific demands. And if you don't give it to us, we will not vote for you. If need be, thousands of people are going to stop paying the water bill. Jail us all.
Facts.
To me, that's the only way. To me, that's the only way on a national level. People call for a general strike. But in Flint, we could talk about your local elections. We could talk about your city council meetings and all that. But at the end of the day, the powers that be will only respond to numbers and if their wallet is affected. And how you affect their wallet is by a mass amount of people. Right. And I know it's scary because people, You're afraid that if you do that, you know, they're going to take your house. They're going to shut your water. But if thousands of people do that, they can't, the jails aren't big enough for thousands of people, and they can't. So to me, if an American city 10 years later, you were poisoned, but no one's in jail, you haven't seen a dime, you don't have health care, what's left to do other than thousands of people? I'm not calling for violence, to be clear, but to surround the gates and make them uncomfortable. From the mayor to the governor. And you want to know something? If they say, well, what do you want? Trump? Well, I say, we got Democrats now.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want Trump.
Yeah.
But what's the difference at this point? Trump's just more overtly racist. But at the end of the day, we're not getting the health care under Democrats. We're not getting the clean water. I don't care what the hell the governor said on Charlemagne.
Right.
Go talk to the residents. If you go talk to residents, that's all you need. They are the ones that have smelly water in their home. Lots of residents I talk to. They are the ones, when they shower, residents are telling me it smells like chemicals.
Do you honestly think that President Obama, former President Trump, and current President Biden they don't know about Flint, Michigan?
Oh, they know.
And they won't do anything. We've been through Democrat, Republican, Democrat. It's nothing is happening.
I always say, because the media presents this, the media and, you know, marketing and PR present like blue first red, right? Democrats or Republicans. The reality is there's only one color. It's green.
Right. Money.
Now, blue team might be better on certain social issues.
Right.
Red team might, if you care about certain things, might be better. But at the end of the day, it's like a Venn diagram, and they meet in the middle with the green. So at the end of the day, I mean, Governor Whitmer, Attorney General Nessel, if this happened in Ann Arbor, which it wouldn't have, you better damn believe people would be in jail, the pipes would be replaced, and there'd probably be, I mean, my guess is it would have started at a couple billion.
Right, I believe.
And by the way, they changed the pipes in Ann Arbor after the Flint water crisis. There wasn't a problem. They changed them preemptively. So to me, I think the only way Flint is ever going to get relief, true justice, is you just need thousands of people to come together. I know that there's beefs with certain people and this and that. I can't speak to that. But all I know is I don't need to want to have a beer with someone to protest with them. I don't need to love, but
Absolutely.
we all need to have the common goal, because at the end of the day, you know, people talk about what's going on in Gaza right now is a genocide, and I agree. But there's a slower moving genocide happening here.
Right.
I mean, cancer is through the roof, and children are damaged. And if that's the reason that people ask, why do you keep doing this? Because I don't think that's normal. I don't think that should be normalized. I don't care if it happened 10 years ago or 10 weeks ago. I mean, what kind of country is this? If, let's just say it was an accident and they didn't do it intentionally, which I think my book will show the opposite, it should be made right. And
do you think it was some type of experiment or a study, or just something that just happened because America is old? Because after that, we seen a new school getting built to study I think it was ages up to 5 or 7, like the smaller children. Then they let them go. And then they have built a new juvenile facility. It's like they know what's going to happen to these children. They're acting out in school. They're not paying attention. Like, we're seeing kids being affected by the lead from when they were little, like they're 12, 13 years old now.
you know, I don't think Rick Snyder woke up one day and said, let me poison some black folks. I don't think that. But what I do think is when government is generally run by wealthy, out of touch white people for the most part, I think if they don't have a stake in a community, I think if they aren't from that community, don't frequent that community, don't have a relationship with that community, if they're a much different class than that community, I think they're more willing to roll the dice. You know, I think a lot of folks, from Snyder down to his emergency managers to city officials here, said, yeah, the water plant will be good. You know, we could get away with it for a year or two. Yeah, it's not perfect. It probably needs more upgrades, but it'll be fine. I think a lot of it was just carelessness and recklessness. I don't think they intentionally were like, hey, we know they're going to get sick, but fuck it, we'll save money. But I don't think they cared enough to ensure they wouldn't get sick. And that's the key. And there's a whole chapter on the water plant. And this is a lot of stuff that has never been out there. I mean, you literally, it's like Paul Revere, the British is coming, you know, it's you had, you know, in the media, they've only reported about Mike Glasgow. He was a plant worker who sent an email a week before the water switch saying, this is against my judgment. I detail several others who were saying, hell no, we're not ready. There was somebody from Jeff Wright's office in the Genesee County Drain Commission
Next question.
that came to the plant a month before the switch and said that, you know, you shouldn't do this. They're not ready. And they went ahead with it anyway. And the reason for that is because they were already on the hook to start paying back the KWA bonds later that year. So they couldn't keep paying Detroit and pay KWA bonds. So it wasn't about health. I mean, if they would have just waited probably 6 months to a year, maybe this could have been avoided. And by the way, you're supposed to, when you switch a water source by law, you're supposed to test it for 6 months to a year before sending it out to the residents. They just flipped the switch.
Let's go.
And I hate when I hear this. The media says, oh, a tragedy to save money. This was not to save money. This was to make money. There was no need. Just imagine. Do you know of any other scenario where there's a water pipeline from city A to city B and they just build a second one on the same exact path? There's no reason for this second pipeline. Detroit cut its rate to Flint in half because they didn't want to lose Flint. You go to the store, 50% off. That's pretty damn good.
Yes.
There's no reason for this second pipeline, but you had people like Jeff Wright, who I'm sure is watching, and others who, for a very long time, it was their little project. They wanted control of the water. I believe part of it was to take control away from Detroit, because Detroit, one of its only remaining assets was its water department. You take that asset away,
Revenue.
it goes bankrupt.
Right.
That's what happened. They went bankrupt.
Why do you think and Jeff, it's it's election today. Genesee County Drain Commissioner Jeff Wright, before, during, and now still ongoing water crisis, he's unopposed. Like nobody challenges this guy. I think we had one guy to challenge him, but Jeff Wright,
maybe they're afraid he's a former FBI informant. Maybe they're afraid. I don't know.
Well, we got a lot of them running around here.
Oh my, because what you saying right now, you blowing my mind, because
Former FBI.
I'm glad I'm not like I done quit taking calls from certain individuals, because when you just said the field shows, so, and I don't know, he might be a good individual.
I don't have a problem with
I have no problem with him, but it's just funny that you saying he was in a part of this, and then in your book with Mary Weaver, Dr. Mary Weaver, she said, she got, what he couldn't do. And it's like you be seeing certain individuals running with these people. And it's like, how you running with the people that's going against? It's just confusing me. Like,
the bottom line is, who do you trust on whether your water's clean? Gretchen Whitmer or Erin Brockovich? Who do you trust if your water's clean? Phil Schultz or residents?
wow.
Who do you trust if your water's clean? Sheldon Neely or videos on Twitter of brown water 10 years later? I mean, it's ridiculous. And by the way, it's so ridiculous because they put out something that Flint's water levels are down to 1 parts per billion of lead.
Yeah, I told you that just came out last week.
And I have a 6-pack under this shirt.
Me too. I weigh 1/4. Like some of the, because like how you say how we not together, it's starting to make sense now, like why we not together. Like you said, some people with water wars, they get on council and they change. And you see the different fights that we be having up here. It's just like so many fights, but now to me, it's like them wasn't nothing but distractions.
I think, and again, I in general think local politics really matters. I think a lot of people focus on the presidential level when local really affects you the most. Right. And you have the most power to pressure. Yes. In this case, I think it's the reverse. I mean, you could get, I'm not saying don't vote, of course,
Right.
but the bottom line is this is much bigger than Quincy Murphy, or Candace, or
Right.
Weaver. And by the way, somebody needs to ask Governor Whitmer, do you know 10 years later, the emergency manager law is still on the books?
Sure is.
They got a Democratic governor, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic House in Michigan. Why is the law that all the Democrats in Michigan
Claim they don't
criticize, why is it still on the books? Secondly, I believe if you want attention back on this nationally, it's not City Hall you need to be protesting. It's the Attorney General's office and it's the governor's office. I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're a Republican. If you have independent, keyword, if you have independent agencies or researchers test the water here, I guarantee you it ain't 1 parts per billion. By the way, to test 60 or 70 homes and claim the whole city's water is absurd. And there's a whole chapter about how the water department, Snyder's environmental department, was literally running people's water, not the night before, right before, the day of.
15 minutes.
And that's the data they use to claim the water's safe. We're shutting down the water stations. Whitmer knew about that. She's on video saying, yeah, the testing might have not been done the right way. She never pushed forward for new testing. So I think this is much bigger than your city council. Even if you got all the right people in there, it would still be David versus Goliath. And by the way, the state, feds, PR consultants, certain corporations like Veolia, they have done an expert job of dividing residents, of divide and conquer. They deploy tactics to create issues between activists, residents, rifts. I mean, they've tried to pay off certain activists to.
Want to name a few?
I can't name without firm evidence, but I've been around the block enough to know that certain people, I believe that they have tried to pay off to then create rumors, create division, create beefs.
Yeah, honestly,
that's not only in Flint. That happens at a lot of protests.
It's just the playbook they take everywhere.
But at the end of the day, if you're fighting each other rather than the attorney general who sabotaged the investigation, rather than the governor who ran on justice, ran on reopening the pods, didn't do any of that. By the way, why was the governor and Dana Nessel more interested in the settlement before criminal charges? Well, if you get a settlement for a low amount first before criminal charges, if you get a settlement and bury the KWA case, that settlement amount's going to be lower.
Wow.
I got a question for you. In the book, it talks about, and I don't want to give away everything because we want you to go out, buy the book. I seen someone say, was it an audio version available? Yes, it is. It was posted yesterday on Flint Politics Reboot. You can get that audio version. Book comes out today, Amazon. Also, don't forget about the book signing tonight at 7:00. But anyway, just a little tinge on this subject right here. I read in the book because every time Melissa Mays and the Concerned Pastors lawsuit is mentioned at council, they have to go in executive session. I did read where there was a monetary settlement of $97 million.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was in 2017.
It was stolen, or they didn't receive it. Like, what can you just give me just a little bit about, give the people just a little bit about what happened?
So that settlement for Snyder, because Snyder did not want to pay for the service lines. Mm-hmm. So basically what Snyder did was like an accounting trick that, that 170 million that came from Congress. Mm-hmm. He just used some of that money to go towards the 97 million.
Okay.
And the Concerned Pastors, Melissa Mays, I think the NRDC was also, they did not know about that till the last minute because that was supposed to be from the state.
Okay.
But they basically just took money out of the federal cookie jar and used it to pay for the service line. So that's what I mean by they basically stole money, because that federal money was supposed to be going towards healthcare for residents, filters, child educational programs, other things, not the pipes. Pipes was supposed to come from state money. And it's also in my book, I mean, a lot of the state money that was earmarked by the state legislature mysteriously is going to uptown redevelopment, Genesee Chamber, banks, law firms, not like Little Miss Flint.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I mean by that. But I will say, some of the pastors I would question. But Melissa Mays, NRDC, they have been fighting for you. I know a lot of people have thoughts about different people, but I've never got any sense that there was anything shady with them. But I do believe some of the pastors who get donations from certain politicians or state and then go in front of their congregation and say, vote for this person. Yeah, maybe you need to be careful who you listen to.
Like a certain bishop that we see running with the governor and everything.
Okay.
I got it. A real messy bishop.
And by the way, are you aware, Flint, that your water right now is being blended? Your water right now is, some of it is KWA and some of it is Detroit water.
Wow.
What?
Are you aware of that?
No.
Maybe you could ask Sheldon Neely about that.
Oh,
Right now, there's a blend. Right now, there is a blend of KWA, which is treated one way, is chemically treated one way, and Detroit water, which is treated both from Lake Huron.
Wow.
So the source is the same lake, but it's treated in a different way. And you want to tell me the water's fine? You have a blend of two different water sources. One is raw water that is then treated in a, I guess, Genesee County's plant, and one is Detroit water, which is treated on their end. It's blended together.
Because, growing up, you turn on the tap, you drink some water. You cannot tell me that the water is clean if we still have to put a filter on our water at home.
Filters go bad quickly. And by the way, it filters, these filters that they give you cannot get rid of all lead.
No, or all the other chemicals that's in the water. And how can he sit up there and say that the water is clean? All the stations report on this, and I say it all the time. You walk right in the city hall, you look right to the right over at the service desk, and there are pure water filters sitting there. Like, dude, you pass it every morning going to your office, but you're telling the people that the water is clean.
Well, follow the timeline and follow the money. He wanted to run for Congress. So
that didn't work.
If he's going to run for Congress, is he going to get into Congress if he's pushing, the water's still shit here and I haven't replaced the service lines?
Well, he still didn't get into Congress.
He blew that.
Yeah.
Do it. Well, Adele do it.
And by the way, I'd like to know from the mayor, because
he's watching.
I reported exactly what he said. Mm-hmm. He could be all pissy that I recorded him without him knowing. It's legal. Right. Maybe you should know the rules of journalism. And he didn't say off the record, and I would have to agree. He just was freely talking. Anyway, how is that out of context? I just reported what you said. I didn't even bring up the emergency managers. I didn't bring up Mott and racism. He brought it up.
He had to know.
So how is it out of context? I'd love to know.
How did he know that, though? I want to thank the mayor for that, though, because I didn't know that about the Motts brought to, in their history. I do got to thank him.
Well, after you read my book, I would encourage you to read Demolition Means Progress.
Oh, you had that book flying off the shelves that day.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but
this book
he's a good mayor, though. I mean, they say he like that Crown Apple Royal, ain't it?
Apple Crown.
Apple Crown Royal. So that might have why he was running his mouth.
But it was at a church. But y'all was in a church basement, though, wasn't you?
Yeah, he had just launched his run for mayor in 2019. I was there. We were going to show residents a documentary we had done on Snyder's administration cheating on the water testing. Right. We knocked on 400 doors, and he approached me, and we started talking, and he's like, "Oh, let me get my laptop out. I want to show you something." He showed me like a video from a news channel years ago about the lieutenant governor bad-mouthing him. I listened to his thing just to kind of appease him, and then I, asked him about what I wanted to know.
Of course, yeah, baited him in.
Well, I'm tripping though, because the interesting, that name that you said, Phil Schultz, him and the mayor, cool. It's just funny though, because I know somebody who's cool with him, and I'm like, and I be seeing him attacking the mayor.
Listen, I don't know Phil Schultz from a hole in the wall. He might be a nice person. I spoke with him on the I spoke with him on the phone. They do, he's given to charity. At the end of the day, all I could tell you is based on my reporting and based on the record statements from the former mayor, he expressed to the mayor that this water crisis is bad for business and, pressuring her to say the water's fine. He denies it. So it's up to people,
Well, I do remember a conversation where both of them was in the same room. We were at an event probably about 2-3 years ago. And he said the last time I seen her, she said, "Fuck you." And I said, "Oh no, Dr. Weaver wouldn't say nothing like that." And she said, "Yes, I did." So yeah, that probably was around that time. I'm just gonna guess. But if he said it didn't happen, it didn't happen. But
at the end of the day, if you read this book, you're going to find out that this did not just happen with the flip of a switch. This was years in the making before the Flint water switch. There was, this basically planning. And Jeff Wright, the Genesee County Drain Commissioner, based on my reporting and based on what the former state treasurer said under oath, just so you know, this is based on thousands of confidential documents.
Right.
I obtained thousands of confidential documents from the Flint criminal investigation. Andy Dillon, the former state treasurer, he testified confidentially, not in public, that I approved Flint joining the KWA under one condition, that Flint would be a customer, not borrowing money to help finance the KWA. Andy Dillon testified that Jeff Wright assured him that we already have the funding lined up. We just need to know if Flint's going to be a customer so we know at what sides to make the pipe. Then Andy Dillon resigns. He had personal problems or whatever. All of a sudden, there's bond deals in the works. There's administrative consent order in the works. And all of a sudden, Flint is on the hook for over $100 million of borrowed money that you're all on the hook for to fund it. So according to Andy Dillon, under oath, he approved it, Flint being a customer, not borrowing money. That's called a bait and switch. So there's so many layers of this cover up. And to me, why I want people in Flint to read it, obviously, but people outside of Flint to read it, shit like this is happening all over America.
All over.
This kind of, they call it public-private partnerships. There's no separation between public and private. It's all one, because the government in many cities depends on foundations, wealthy donors, not just Mott, Kellogg, Ford Foundation, you name it. And there's these shady bond deals going on that residents don't know about. Hell, residents don't even know that your water is being blended right now.
No, I bet a lot of residents didn't know that.
So there's a lot of like the build up to Flint. There's a lot of that stuff happening in other places. It might not be about water. It might be about other things, but jeopardizing people's health.
Art Bush used to be prosecutor.
Yeah.
He talks about the one-man jury in your book. Can you explain to some of our some of our viewers why that one-man jury played a part in this water cover-up?
Well, the original prosecutors, everybody saw it, they did everything in public. So they decided to use pretrials. So that is basically when you want to indict somebody to face a jury, you do a pretrial, which plays out in the public. The evidence is presented in the public, and then a judge decides, is there enough evidence to face a jury? And Todd Flood, who Dana Nessel said was, I guess, a screw up, he convinced two judges to send Nick Lyon, the health director, and Eden Wells, the chief doctor of Michigan, over to face a jury. So there was going to be jury trials and possible convictions. Dana Nessel, even though her team of prosecutors were warned. I have sources from Nessel's investigation saying they were warned. Snyder and them, they're going to challenge this. because a one-man grand jury, it has been used in Michigan and other states, not many states, but a few states, but for kind of lower level stuff like street violence, gangs. And the point of it is it's in secret. So it protects witnesses, because if it's in public, witnesses could be intimidated not to testify if there's gangs or the mob or something. So the main point of it is for those kind of cases where you want witnesses to be protected and you don't want defendants to know who's testifying against them. So this was used. I have no idea why they used this process. They say it was because it was a quicker process and they were up against statute of limitations. Yeah, you were up against the statute of limitations because you just tanked the original investigation.
Yep, sure did.
But they used a one-man grand jury. Based on my reporting, one of their witnesses was Dennis Muchmore, the governor's chief of staff.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, well, they used one-man grand jury to protect his identity so he wouldn't face threats. I don't know. But the bottom line is a one-man grand jury, from everything I know, had never been used for something like this level.
Mm-hmm.
It was used for lower level. And Dana Nessel and her team, they cry crocodile tears and they blame the state of Michigan Supreme Court for throwing it out. But this was not like the U.S. Supreme Court where it's like 6 conservatives and 3 liberals. It was a 6-0 decision. It was liberal judges too throwing it out. And they said, this is basically unconstitutional. She's claiming that Todd Flood and the people before her were basically bozos and they screwed up. Yet, did she not read the page on the law book?
She probably skipped that one.
So, basically the one-man grand jury, it was, as far as I know, was not used for things like this. And I had sources that were very close to the entire proceeding saying it defied common logic and that they were warned this is going to be challenged and we're on shaky grounds, and they went ahead with it anyway. And part of why I think they did, I don't think they wanted all this evidence in the public because I think they were trying to sweep the KWA part under the rug.
Do you think that because everything is like gone now, well, the charges, do they still have the evidence somewhere sealed in a room that you know of?
That's what I'm trying to get out to the public, that she's your attorney general, who, by the way, wants to be the next governor. So when she runs for governor, Flint, same thing applies. What I said about Kamala Harris, make demands to Nessel. Her office is, first they told me they don't have the documents. They lied. They do have the documents. I had receipts. I know that
He said, I got receipts.
I know that there were receipts that they got the documents.
Mhm.
They said they didn't have it. Then when I kind of threatened slightly to sue them, then they magically said, well, look again. Then they magically found them. I believe why I'm pushing for these documents. I think the one potential criminal case that can still be charged is the racketeering, because the statute of limitations is kind of flexible with racketeering federally. And I think if this evidence gets out there, there could be criminal charges.
Wow.
So she needs to explain to the public why she won't release these documents. Again, they're 52 pages, and it's basically this documents. It is a briefing that the original investigation under Todd Flood, they wrote up this for Nessel when she was coming in 2018, 2019, as basically the outline of their racketeering case. She won't release it to the public. I'd like to know why.
Absolutely. How long did it take you to put this book together?
8 years.
What's your favorite part of the book?
Favorite. I think my favorite part of the book is Governor Snyder's testimony in 2020. That's the newest stuff that's never been out there. So again, if you're coming to the show late, I obtained his 2020 testimony. It was never released to the public. He testified under oath as part of the civil case. Because if you read the sections of the book that have his testimony, you could tell why they buried this, because he's clearly lying. I pause because I don't want to be sued, but we'll see what happens. He's clearly lying. He is repeatedly saying, I don't recall, to basic questions like, did you talk to your lawyer about the Flint water crisis?
Well, that's
I
what
don't
they tell us.
recall.
I don't recall. That's what you're
The
supposed to say.
the McLaren Hospital's lawyer,
Mhm.
because McLaren was blamed for this whole thing.
With the Legionella.
Yeah. He's basically saying, Governor, are you sure you didn't know about Legionnaires in October 2014? 6 months. My reporting is he knew about it then and was covering it up then. 16 months. 16 months before he notified the public. McLaren's lawyer is grilling him. And I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Well, that's quite different than you telling Congress, I learned about it on this day in January 2016. So I believe, based on the testimony, he contradicts his congressional testimony. There's people who ask me, Jordan, can anything be done? I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I would think if there is one case where exceptions can be made or like federal intervention could come, it should be this one. But I guess my favorite part is the parts with Snyder's testimony, because it's very clear from his answers or dodges that he is very lawyered up. Mm-hmm. He is being told, don't answer anything. Mm-hmm. He's being told, is your name Rick? I don't know.
Right. I don't recall.
Do you live in Michigan? I believe so, but there are obvious things he's not telling the truth about. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. The privileged, the wealthy, and the protected have gotten a get out of jail free card. Right. And what bothers me the most is your current governor and your current attorney general. I'm not blaming them for this because they were not in office when this happened. But what is the point of voting for the lesser of two evils? That's what they say, the lesser of two evils.
All the damn time.
If when that lesser of two evils gets in, and Whitmer's done some good things, but on the biggest miscarriage of justice and injustice, they've done nothing. Flint don't need a state park. They need clean water.
Exactly. And we talk about Elijah Cummings was the one who held the hearings. And his untimely death, of course, he didn't get a chance to call the Governor Snyder back. It was big. Why did anybody else in Congress pick it up? Like, why didn't Gretchen Whitmer say, hey, I want to come back and tell the rest of the story about what happened? Like, let's not drop this. Let's get to the bottom of this. Like, it's moved over in DC. This is much bigger than us. So why do you think that happened? Like, nobody else in Congress finished this for Mr. Cummings.
I said it earlier, but the Attorney General's office, not Nessel, before her, they signed off. They approved that administrative consent order. In English, there was a bullshit environmental agreement that made up a phony environmental emergency. And that was how Flint was able to borrow the $100 million to join KWA. Because Flint, and in my book, I have Gerald Ambrose, he's under oath too, saying Flint had no credit rating in 2014. It legally could not borrow any more money. So they came up with this, as my Jewish grandma would say, fakakta emergency, which was cleaning up like a lime sludge pit. And within that agreement, just through the back door, Flint was able to borrow, I believe it was $85 million to join KWA. That's what Todd Flood charged Darnell Early, Gerald Ambrose, Howard Croft, and one other person with, because it was false pretenses. And that posed 20 years for each count. That was serious shit. Since the Attorney General's office signed off on that, the state of Michigan was on the hook. So if the KWA charges went forward into a pretrial, you could have bondholders suing the state, investors suing the state. You could even have the banks suing the state. And the banks could also be sued because it's bond fraud. And one thing that the legal authorities in America, there is justice for, is when you screw wealthy investors. So to me, that's why Nessel did it, because I mean, it's been said to me it could bankrupt the state of Michigan, because if the state of Michigan is on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars, and the banks also, I mean, do the math.
They got some type of ACO agreement right now. They keep going into executive session for it, down it.
When they found out ain't no money in the wind fund, that they keep pulling back there, how the mayor gonna fund some projects with no money.
Judy just said, kick it down the road. Just kick down the road.
And another common sense question, I keep using the term common sense because this isn't as complicated as people think. All right, Nessel fired Todd Flood, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever. If you want to come in and let's say you just want to fire that person and put your own person in, fine. She also fired the chief investigator. His name was Andy Arena. He used to run the FBI's office in Detroit.
Yes, I read about that.
He helped bring down the Gambino crime family in New York. And Kwame Kilpatrick. After 9/11, he was involved with the anti-terrorism. I mean, this guy was not like the janitor. Mm-hmm. It's like a big deal. And he was very, very, had a lot of experience in complicated financial fraud. Not only did they fire him, they didn't even really do like a formal debriefing with him. He was the one, Flood had basically put him on the KWA case. So he was the one overseeing that racketeering case. Why would you not thoroughly want a debriefing, meaning he's going to explain everything about that? Well, you can't find what you're not looking for. I don't think they wanted to look into the KWA because it's one thing to go after Snyder or others. But it's another thing when you're going after the money, there's going to be powerful people implicated, powerful people that are also involved in politics. So to me, none of this makes sense. And she's never had to answer for it because the Michigan media, and frankly, I think most of the media in Michigan, I'm not saying they're bad people. They're not from Flint. And I just think as time goes on, I just don't think they care.
Right. If you can't get 10 residents out to say anything about the water, you got a council that really can't do anything. You have a mayor that's saying the water is clean. You have a governor that's going on national shows saying the water is clean. What can you do?
Well, if the mayor and the governor and all them think the water is clean, then I suggest Flint residents invite them for a water fest. And they could chug water. And like, you know how people chug beer? They could chug the water without a filter. Let's see how they're willing to do that. Because if they're going to say the water's clean, then come to Flint, have a couple glasses. Right. Bring your kids, have them. Because that's how you'd be able to prove if they really believe that.
Right. Have your darling children drink some of this water. Yeah. That's true. Mickey, you got some questions for him?
Nah, I mean, again, we're trying to come out to comic book store at 7:00 because I know a lot of people want to get this book.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be there to get a couple of them.
And also, I really ask you all in Flint because unfortunately, other than present company, I'm not really expecting many opportunities with other Michigan media because again, they don't care. So this is really going to be a word of mouth, like all hands on deck effort. So I really hope if you can get a copy yourself, but if you could spread the word, because most importantly, this is not just about Flint. I mean, if they get away with this here, I'm really worried about the rest of the country.
Oh, we got people watching from all around the world, and they are really, they've really been talking about this book and Demolition Means Progress. So we definitely,
man, I need to get a check from that guy if I sold some of his books.
That's why I said I was like, who is this book by Jordan Sheridan? I was like, oh, we need to get a check from him.
And I also, we haven't talked much about it, but I also hope the book's not just the cover up. I mean, I tried to add a lot of the tragedy and human stories to it.
You did.
Because you don't want it to just be all doom and gloom. So, well, it is all doom and gloom, but I also wanted to add like the residents I've met, their stories. It broke my heart. One resident, her daughter was sitting on her lap and she had white rashes and sores all over. And she was ready to call Child Protective Services on herself just to get water because she couldn't get water from the city. She didn't have a car. She didn't have money to go buy bottled water. And she was going to call CPS on herself just to get water. I mean, that's disgusting in America.
We have people like that now. And a lot of people don't think about that. people don't have, you think, oh, a case of water is $3. But when it comes down to, I need that for gas money or to feed my child, forgetting about myself, you just can't go and afford the water.
She said, yeah, we're drinking from the top because we don't have a choice.
Can we get this book online too, Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay,
yep. So We the Poisons on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a couple other places. The audio version is going to be out in September. I don't know why it's not out now, but that's a different story. So it's in bookstores. You could order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Erin Brockovich was nice enough to write the forward. And I'm hoping that other people will share because, in our like country and media, there's a different disaster and crisis and sideshow every day. So it's hard to remember stuff from last week. But I really hope that this puts this back front page because at the end of the day, they could say what they want. But if the water was really clean, why would all the residents be saying it's not clean?
Right.
Why, who do you trust? The people in their ivory tower in Lansing or the people on the ground who are getting the water?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's bad in all parts of the city,
Right.
but this is a big city. They haven't fixed the infrastructure. And at the end of the day, it's about human dignity and humanity. If you care about certain cities more than others because they're a higher class or a different race, I don't think that should be what our country is. And I've talked to too many residents, white, black, young, old, that honestly are just slowly dying. And I don't feel right just doing nothing about that. So I've put everything I have into this, and I know people are focused on elections, but to me, this is the ball game, folks. If you don't know the truth of who did this and why, then you certainly can't advocate for yourselves effectively.
Right. Well, thank you, Jordan, so much for coming on A10 News Media Group and gracing the studios once more. And everybody, I encourage you all over the United States, go out, go to Amazon right now or your closest bookstore that he mentioned and buy Cover Up, We the Poison by Jordan Sheridan. And if you are available tonight at 7:00, stop by Comma Bookstore, downtown Flint on 2nd Street. He will be there along with Kayla. And in another interview, she'll be interviewing you tonight. And they will get into a deeper dive about the book. So, Mickey, last words before I turn it back to Jordan to close us out.
I want to thank him for keeping this going because this I found out about what's going on from Jordan. So I just want to thank you. I hope you keep coming back and you can, open door policy with A10 with you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So you can close it out, Jordan. Any last words?
Yeah, definitely come out tonight if you can, 7:00 at Comma Bookstore. We'll be reading some of the book, and Kayla will be going into detail on certain parts. If you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Status Coup, Status COUP on YouTube, where we cover Flint, East Palestine, both political parties as corrupt. We've also been covering the protests all over the country the last few months. We don't take a dime from the Mott Foundation or other corporate people. So if you can support us, that's statuscoup.com/join. But most importantly, if you can buy the book, great. But I just hope people take a deep breath and think about, coming together to fight back in whatever way you can. If you can't physically get out there and protest, then, maybe other ways. But my biggest hope is this book inspires action from the people of Flint, because I don't want to be back here on the 20th anniversary and it be the same situation. We need some change and some progress.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. The book is $26.95. A good investment. And we will see you back here tonight at 8 p.m. for our election coverage. So come join the A10 watch party tonight. See you later.
Peace.